Today, it's a great day for all of us, the seekers, that the last work of the divine, of opening the last center in the great primordial being was done on 5th of May 1970. It is the greatest event of all the spiritual happenings of the universe. It was done with very great care and great adjustments. It is not in the limits of human understanding how things are worked in the heavens. It is your fortune and God's love that has worked out this wonderful event. Without this happening, there could not have been a possibility to give mass realization. One could have done it for one or two persons here and there, but to give such a mass awakening would not have been possible. As you know, in the Sahasrara, there are the seats of the 7 main chakras. There are 1,000 nadis, or as they call it, frames, and they all have each 16,000 powers. Every nadi deals with a particular type of a person, and with the permutations and combinations of all these nadis, human beings are looked up. As soon as Sahasrara was opened, the whole atmosphere was filled with tremendous Chaitanya. And there was tremendous light in the sky. And the whole thing came on this earth as if a torrential rain or a waterfall with such a tremendous force, as if I was unaware, got stupefied. The happening was so unexpected and so tremendous that I was stunned and I became completely silent. Gradually, I saw the primordial Kundalini rising like a big furnace. And the furnace was very silent but burning appearance it had. As if you heat up some metal and it has many colors in the same way. The Kundalini showed up like a huge furnace, say, of a, you can say, of a furnace which is like a tunnel. When you see these plants who have for coal burning.
Et donc,
Create electricity. And it stretched like a telescope, one after another came out. Like that. And the deities came and sat on their seats, on their golden seats. And then they lifted the whole of the head like a big door and opened. And then this torrential rain completely drenched me. And I started seeing all that and got lost into the joy. It's like an artist seeing its own creation fulfilled. I felt the joy of great fulfillment. After coming out of that beautiful experience, I looked around and I saw human beings so blind. And I became absolutely silent. Then I desired that I should get the cups to fill his nectar. But I saw all stones. Sahasrara is the most beautiful part of your being. It is a big lotus with 1,000 petals of different colors, appearing like inflated flames. It is a thing which is seen by many people, but to see it pour that torrential rain was like these flames becoming a fountain of colors and of fragrance. When you think of a flower pouring its color and its fragrance around, people have written very little about Senza because whatever they have seen is from outside, and it's not possible for them to go from inside. Even if you reach from inside, if the whole Sahasrara is not open out, you cannot see its view because when it is closed, the whole of it is totally. But you just pass through a little aperture and get out. But just imagine a huge leaf petal, uh, uh, thousand petal lotus, and you are sitting inside or in the corner and looking at all these petals. All very beautifully colored and fragrant and pulsating with the bliss and the joy. To remain inclusive on that position is the ideal situation. But then, after the silence, you are filled with tremendous excitement and love. And you are drawn out.
Till
People who haven't yet known what is having eyes, and thus you try put your attention the Sahasrara of millions of people. And then you start seeing the problems that exist in the Sahasrara. And even if you desire open Sahasrara, it is a very difficult thing because the channelizing from the divine in human beings has to be through human beings. The power to be is you, but it has to be channelized through human element. All my life, I had not known many, many realized truths. How to get them? How to work it out? So I started looking out for people. And I met one old lady of 70 years. And she was very perturbed about something very close. And when she came to me, she felt very peaceful. Her Sahasrara was very worn out. And in my company, she would think of something else, not of the spirit. and her brain would be covered with clouds and darkness. Again and again I had to enlighten her, but she did not get her realization. Most of the people who came to me in the beginning came for getting cured. This capacity I had from China, when I could give it also realization to few people before, but they had to be very earnest. I didn't meet anyone of that quality, because I was not living in the forest. I was living as a normal human being, other normal human beings, and they were not that earnest, that odd, and I had to do this work among them. How to talk to them about the real world that exists and the faults in which they live. One lady, the first one who got realization, just came to see me because she was possessed with the idea of seeking support, and it worked in her. That was not the happiest day, because she's one of those who get individually realization. With this great happening, many should get at a time. We had a program in Bodhi in 70s, and there first one gentleman offered us something. Next day, there were negative forces active morning time. As they started talking of favoritism, I could see in the atmosphere the vibrations were low. In the evening, I took up a very strong form attitude. I was in a great hurry. I never gone into such a beauty before. And I dashed off, but surprisingly, one of them got recognition. That was the greatest moment. Then many got one by one. Three of them were traveling back, got realization suddenly in a train different vibration. So the mass revolution started. Sahasrara is your awareness. When it is enlightened, you get into the technique of the divine.
Moves on.
Now there are two techniques, the technique of the divine and the technique that you follow. You cannot act as divine, but you can use the divine power and maneuver it. For example, divine looks after all the universal happenings. Every minutest particle is controlled by divine. When your Sahasrara opens up and your Kundalini touches the ultimate force, sort of a igniting force is ready in your Sahasrara. And as soon as the Fontanelle area opens up through the Brahmarandras, the grace of your spirit ignites that igniting, and your bodies get enlightened. Not all of them, quite a lot of them. Not not all the length, but quite the peripheries. That's how you get your enlightenment. So many things happen because also of your seven centers being in the Sahasrara. With the light, you see there are two positions. I mean, you do not see, but it works in your conscious mind. Your conscious mind feels that integration within you. The rationality which is separated from the heart becomes one with the heart. It becomes one with your attention. Wherever your attention goes, you act in a collective way. All the activities of your attention are best. The attention itself is effective. Your attention is very important. Your desires are even more important. Because it is such an integrated thing, your desires and your attention become one. Whatever is good for the spirit, you desire, and your attention goes to things whichever is emitting the spiritual thought. The priorities change very fast. Those people who are primitive or not evolved may not find that happen. But those who are over mentally developed, they actually have an attention which they try to test. They first want to see how to raise the Kundalini. They want to see that it is logical. For a balanced person, there's no question. We have some people like that. They just became and they never questioned. They just settled down. They are innocent. They are intelligent about all their spiritual. But whatever may be the defect and the quality can be corrected through your Sahasrara. First of all, you have to put down the ego, because if ego is there, this is the Sahasrara. Also, the superego must be reduced because it also presses the Sahasrara and gives pain. So, to keep the Sahasrara in its healthy state, one has to understand that the priorities are to be changed. Some people take time, so they have to take some deliberate effort. There are many books, if you read them, they suggest anti-God attitude. An enlightened Sahasrara doesn't try. It closes back. That's like the poison. It doesn't like any poisonous thought to come in. If you go about with the poison, then it again closes. In the same way, the people who are hot tempered, very much hot tempered, and all other problems of ego, if they try to suppress the Sahasrara, most of the Sahasrara starts closing. Those people who have had conditioning from wrong gurus and wrong books, from wrong parents maybe, from a wrong country, from a wrong livelihood, also do not allow the Sahasrara to grow in its healthy way. It is only the Sahasrara has to grow, not the spirit. The more sensitive the Sahasrara is, the more it perceives the spiritual qualities of the spirit. Actually, the peace is felt in the Sahasrara. The bliss is also felt in the Sahasrara because that's the brain, and the brain is the epitome of our nervous system, central nervous system of consciousness. So only merely by opening Sahasrara, the work is not happening. We have to have more and more channels.
Tulukano.
We act on the nadis with their different powers. And you can work it out in a proper systematic manner. But those people who indulge into wasteful habits after realization obstruct the flow of the nadis are really very harmful for the Mirage. Such people should really agree Sahaja Yoga and spirit. Or such people should be asked to leave, and one should sever relations with such people who is standing against such a great work of the divine. The one who wants to develop Sahasrara should know that he should not have bad company, but always have the company of the other servant. He should not have his own holidays and own time, but most of the time he should spend in the company of other servants. After the Sahasrara, when you are above Sahasrara, then you can see that it is very important that all these nadis must be kept together. And all the centers and the deities must be kept awakened and integrated. This can be done even with the conscious effort. Watching yourself, your thoughts. You start seeing your ego and your superego. You'll be able to see how you cheat yourself and you're dishonest to yourself. How you are convincing yourself that you're very good. How you are enjoying a ego trip. So yoga is for people who are spirits. So all other things must come. All these identifications must be done. One can do it through conscious mind, as I said, that you can really direct yourself. Because after realization, whatever you desire becomes a part of the divine desire. And whatever you do becomes a part of the divine action. So one has to remember that with conscious effort, we can find out ourselves and see if we are really honest about it. If one is honest, one can see that connectivity is the only way to expand your self-structure. For that tolerance, wisdom is needed, and stature is needed of a problem. Which you are. And you talk like a prophet. Actually, you have to educate yourself. How does the prophet speak? How does the prophet speak? This is not insincere or acting. Because now you are awakened. When you are not awakened, whatever you do like this is artificial. Sahasrara is the uh, controlling, guiding, evolving force. And so to keep it absolutely ready for growth and expansion, one has to watch one's own growth. Never justify your wrong. If you start justifying, you are actually thinking about that. We have no time to think about oneself. You have to think of others, because others are also moving. And when you start thinking of others, talking to them about the resurrection, your sahasrara will definitely increase in its size and in its sensitivity. The sensitivity will also, the depth will also come.
Vasudil.
It is just like a tree when it grows, its roots spread. So you have to come out of your shells and spread your wing. All small things or white must be given. You have to live like a very huge, big personality. It has to give support, guidance, and away. How if the Sahasrara in France establishes a new dynamism in this country, I'm sure that it will catch up with the thoughts of the people. It will resound into their brains. Their unconscious will transmit it into their brains. And they will start thinking afresh. No, now new breakthroughs will take, and people will start going towards the logical. They'll come to right conclusion. They'll drop out all that is useless and wasteful. So Sahasrara is the soul for the spirit. And the bigger is the king, the bigger is the soul. The way you treat your spirit is expressed through the way you have your sahasrara. As it is the seven chakras seated in sahasrara. You become the master of all. These seven chakras. And that's what you can realize. You can give realization. And then we pass from a subtle being to your conscious effort can filter into the being of a person based on human enlightenment and this start also gives you a new sight to see all the sukshmas, all the subtle things in the atmosphere. When you start developing higher and higher, you can see the vibrations as lights around you. You may not have been any interest in many fields, but you will be amazed how you become the master of so many things. As if your brain is materializing whatever you have been designed. But this is what is Krishna promised, who is actually the Virata. So you become the master of your brain. Because actually the spirit is the master of your brain. The more you start bringing spirit into your attention, the more the Sahasrara increases in its size. And the light of that expands and you become more powerful surgery. This is the greatest thing also for God Almighty to say, see that this has happened so that He can, for the time being, restore His anger and wrath. So that He can forgive human beings for their mistakes, their obstinacy and childish acts. Let the man rise to see the glory and the greatness of his Father. Let him have so much of power that he can bear the compassion of God. Let the Sahasrara develop into such dimensions that it can execute the working of the divine through his own conscious mind. The Sahasrara has one mantra that is Nirvana, you must be the pure method. That is what is your job. Try to keep it pure and clean. And this will definitely mark another step, another accelerated jump into a new dimension of many more human beings. It's a very great pleasure to be in Paris today so that the whole world attention should be on Paris, on France, on this country, which is really being cursed, neglected by all the deities, because human beings really went very wrong. Let all the deities be settled down in this country, because this is the attention, and attention, whatever attention we pay, is important to us through Sanskrit. So the Sahasrara of France may be opened up. So the attention of France should be directed to spirit and towards the eternal life. It's very important. That's why I decided to have a stay celebration. Now the responsibility on the thanks is much greater. They have to change their methods and start. They should be very mild, gentle, and healthy people. But at the same time, they should be very strong surgeons. So that when others see them, fine, let's be out. Before this is starting, we have had such a successful session. I'm very happy about it. May God bless you. Now I bless all the other centers who are praying, give them a very developed samskara, an enlightened one that will separate them from their small shells. Let them expand so much that they become one with the whole.